Hello, my name is Caroline Nettle, and I thought that I would do a reading today which addresses this full moon energy, which is just, it's super strong, and it's really inviting in change from us all. And one of the things that we humans do not like is change. So I'm getting asked a lot of questions from a lot of different people, which I'm going to translate into about 2 questions, and they really are: what am I supposed to be doing in this time of change? And also, how am I going to cope with the changes that are coming my way? So there's 2 change questions. So I thought what I would do is just a little bit of a reading to see if I can get a handle on both of those questions with the help of the angels, of course, but also to put this out for anyone else out there who really is having a struggle comprehending what is to be done in the face of all the changes that are going on this planet at this time, and some of them are really quite scary. So I am using the Gaia Oracle cards by Tony Carmine Salerno. They are beautiful, but I'm aware that this is going onto YouTube, and so sometimes they have naked ladies on them, so if I don't show it to you, it's for that reason. They are stunningly beautiful, but I just want to keep within the terms of my my obligations as a publisher, I suppose. So, what am I supposed to do whilst all the changes are going on? So I'm being told to pull 3 cards to answer that one. So that's interesting. Oh, I've not had that one before. These are fairly new to me. So we'll do the first question first, and then if I can remember the second one, we'll do that one. So what am I supposed to be doing whilst all these changes are going on around me? Passion, love, spiritual communion, sacred heart. And look how absolutely stunning that is. So I'm aware that the reading might have been back to front for you. I suddenly thought. Anyway, sacred heart, passion, love, spiritual communion. Flame tree, the start of something new. I've not had that, but it's gorgeous. I'm sorry, my nails are a bit dirty. I've just seen I've been planting today. Oh well. And moonlight, travel, romance, potential. So all of these cards are pointing towards a new form of behaviour. Let me tune in and see what they're saying. So whilst the changes that are going on outside of ourselves cannot be influenced by us except in very small ways, although I'm being told to say that wonderful quote by the Dalai Lama, which is, if you don't think I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the actual words, but it's something like, if you don't think one person can make a change, try sleeping in a room with a mosquito or something. Anyway, so you get the analogy. So we are all very capable of making huge changes on the planet. I've just got to look at someone like Greta Thunberg. She's blowing my mind. She's amazing. But there are so many people out there who are making changes, both publicly and in private, that are really going to benefit humanity as a collective. And I'm just thinking about that wonderful old fellow who... There's a video on YouTube, and he smuggled out children from the Nazi camps. Thousands of them. I mean, he really did. He's just died at the wonderful age of 106, and they had him anyway. They invited all these children that are now adults into a hall and sat next to him. Gosh, it made me so emotional to see. He had no idea who these people were, and they were all the children that he'd saved. And so okay, let's look at the people that stand up for what they believe in and just do it, even if it's going to cost them their life, their health, but they're driven to make changes. And I'm not saying that every one of us is supposed to stand up and completely revolutionize the world, but what I'm feeling is that we all do need to make a difference. And I think one of the changes that is coming in is about moving away from me more now to community, inclusion, compassion, I know it doesn't look like that if you look at the political scene, because I know that there's lots of hatred all over the place and it's just terrifying to watch. But within your community and within the people that you care about, what can you do? Because there is a ripple effect. What can you do to help those that perhaps are lonely, perhaps don't have any money, perhaps could do with some, all these amazing ideas like putting 3-year-olds into an old people's home and watching them play together, and bringing a dog to someone who's really lonely, and if they want it, of course you can. But we are being asked collectively to stand up and be better people, and by that I mean, we have been brought up to live on our own or in our own family, just very small units, and I feel like we're really being encouraged to live a lot more collectively. So does the effects of my actions, do they affect people outside of my immediate range? And if they do, am I okay with affecting other people? So the marginalised and those that really perhaps don't have a voice for themselves, or those from whom all their land has been taken, for example, what can we do to include those, to care for those? And a really good example of this was, I can't say who it was because I don't think I'm allowed to, but my nephew has massive problems, disabilities, and he needs a lot of help. He'll never be able to live on his own. He's my favourite person in the whole world. I just adore him. And somebody met him for the first time who'd never met a disabled person. Now I have to say, Sam, my wonderful nephew, is very capable of talking for himself, thinking for himself. He's a lot better off than some people that are disabled. And this person, to start with, just rejected him outright. Couldn't cope with the fact that he was really different, because he looks a bit different and he does act differently and stuff. But over time, I watched this person really spend time with Sam, like Sam, and I don't think this person will ever be Sam's best friend, but it went from being, oh God, you've got a disability, almost real ignorance, and I would say hatred, but it wasn't hatred, it was just ignorance, but to acceptance and care for what is, in my opinion, a wonderful, wonderful human being. So I was being asked to say that because I think we really have to start looking at our prejudices, and hatred is generally pain or ignorance, and it doesn't really have a place in the world that we're moving into. And I'm really aware that we always have to look at ourselves and fix what's going on in me, so that I'm not projecting onto other people hatred, jealousy, pain, whatever it is I'm looking at. So that was a bit of a long-winded way of saying that these 3 cards to me are indicating that there are going to be changes that we're going to enjoy. So I'll use the words again: passion, love, spiritual communion, the start of something new, travel, romance, potential. So it feels as though if we can really leave the old behind, if we can really embrace a different way of doing things, then the excitement and the joy that's going to flow through for that is definitely going to be worthwhile. If we are so stuck in our old habits and our old ways, and if we look at something like the patriarchy, well, it's pretty much on its last legs, because better ways of doing things are being found all the time, and so being addicted to a fossil fuel that's killing our planet, it doesn't make any sense. Will they go easily? No, because it's what they know. And whenever you're replacing one system for another system, it's usually very uncomfortable for a while, and I think we're actually in that massive discomfort now. I'm not saying that patriarchy is going to go away completely. In my opinion, I think we'll just have a much more balanced world going forward, which I'm really looking forward to, and I really hope I can contribute to that so that it comes, you know, in a timely fashion. So that was the first question. What do I do in the face of these changes? And the answer is change yourself, let go of the old, really embrace the new, because I feel like it's coming whether we like it or not. How am I going to cope with the changes that are coming my way, that are coming our way? Because collectively we are facing an enormous change beyond anything we will be able to recognise. I'm going to state for the record that I don't know if it's going to be an ice age, a heat wave, a drought. I'm not entirely sure what's going to happen. What I do know is it's not going to be able to stay the same. It's not sustainable. On May the 18th, I could be right in saying that, we passed our, this is the UK, we passed our, the day when we'd used the resources up for the year. So now we're living on borrowed time because we're after that date. And we're using up resources that the planet can't afford to give us. Globally, it was earlier than May the 27th or May the 18th or whenever it was. So we basically are using up resources that the planet cannot provide us with. Now, I do know that a lot of the Midwest was underwater. I'm not sure if that's the major food producing area of the States, but certainly we've had flooding here. And I think, you know, as climate change, or whatever you want to call it, gets worse, which it will, we're having a really, really wet June. It's hot and wet, which is really bizarre and not brilliant for plants. I've personally had some peony heads just rot on the plant before they flower. It's just so wet. But the point is, we can't, sorry, that was a bit of a fly. We can't expect it to be what it has been. We have been living in a very comfortable era. They think it's 11,000 years between ice ages or something, and we're just coming out of the end of the 11,000 years. But, so I know that we've pledged as a country to be net zero by 2050. I'm not sure I believe that they intend to do that, but if they do, fantastic. But then why isn't it 2021 or 2030 or earlier than 2050? But let's imagine that for the first time politicians do what they say they're going to do. 2050 is the day that the UK is going to be net zero carbon emissions. But we're this tiny country in a big, big world. So if people like the States and China don't jump on board, then whatever we do is not really going to make a difference. Although each little effort that we make will improve the chances of the planet to survive. Actually, when I say that, I don't mean the planet. The planet's going to be just fine. Humans. Enable humans to survive, and we've really got to that. And it's just mind-boggling to me that lots of people still don't know that. I mean, I think I've been talking about it since the 80s loudly. I'm not a quiet person. And, you know, now it's becoming a lot more mainstream, which is having me cheering, but it's taken its time. But I was with someone the other day who said that they didn't even want to think about 35 years from now because it was too frightening. And that's not my stance at all. My stance is, okay, what can I do today to really affect the outcome? Now, I'm not massive, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I could change the world. But who knows that, you know, maybe I'm saying something on a video or I'm talking to a friend. We don't know how impacting our behaviour is on other people. So if you're unaware that the climate is changing, please do go to YouTube and watch some scientifically based videos about what's happening to the sea levels and the coral reefs and the forests and it's just, whew. Anyway, so the question is, how am I supposed to how am I going to cope when these changes comes that we are all faced with? So I'm being told to pull 4 cards for this. So this is about individuals watching this video and anyone else who wants to know the answer to what am I supposed to do, or what are we supposed to do in the face of the changes that are pretty definitely coming. Wow. Okay, I can't show you that one. Oh, I can't show you that one. That's gorgeous. Okay. So what are we supposed to do in the face of these changes that are coming? Sacred journey, life cycles, family, transformation. I adore that card. So, yeah, that's a really good card to have. Loss, grief, sadness, resurrection. So there is definitely going to be some grief around letting go of what we know. I'm pretty sure this is right. I can't show you this one because she's very naked. Purification, in brackets, water, emotional cleansing, rejuvenation. And then eternal love, happiness, harmony, and fulfillment. That's beautiful. So actually that card is a lot less, those cards are a lot less pessimistic than I thought. I want to address the grief first. I think it's super, super, super important to address grief when it comes up for you. Anyone who suffers from lots and lots of colds, coughs, breathing problems, really look at where in your life you are suffering from grief, because the lungs is where grief is, and you can often be releasing your grief through these illnesses, because especially if you're not able to get in touch with your own grief. But there will be massive cause for humankind to be addressing grief in the coming 20 years, I'm hearing. So I think that there is a sense that as things change, we have to be very willing to let go of what we know, what we're comfortable with, what we've become habituated to, and move into new ways of doing things. For example, one of the things I'm seeing now is some shelves in a supermarket. So it may come to pass that we won't be able to buy vegetables that are out of season because because as we move into a better, more collective kind of living, I think locally grown vegetables are going to become much more prevalent on the horizon. And people will start caring that their carrots were flown 7,000 miles just so that they could have carrots out of season. I think we have so lost touch with nature, and of course nature is the one that's really struggling at the moment. So a real movement I'm feeling towards locally grown food, food where you've got a relationship with the farmer, people starting to grow their own food in their back gardens. I feel like that's already started happening, but I feel like it's going to be a lot more. Almost like when we were in the war, it feels like just that spirit of let's all come together and do what we can for everybody. That feels really great. So going back, if you like, to what our grandparents did and their parents was, nearly every garden had, vegetables or fruit trees or fruit bushes in. And we've lost that in our technological mind fog that we live in today. So a real emphasis then on food miles and food waste and changing the way we buy food. And the problem with cheap food is it's not cheap somewhere along the line. So someone along that line is not benefiting. So just starting to pay realistic prices for what you're getting. So the card was lost. So we are going to lose what we know, and we are going to, clearly if I'm open-minded and willing to try new things or a different way of doing things, change will be easier for me. If I'm seriously stuck in my ways, then, well, yeah, it may be that you find what's coming more challenging. But I want to look at this beautiful card. Sacred journey, life cycles, family, transformation. So what's coming through for me here is we're all on a sacred journey. So we've all chosen to incarnate at this time and be present on this planet when these problems are going to manifest. And it's almost as if we knew that when we were incarnating, and we've all, how I'm hearing it is we're all on a sacred journey, and this is all part of the sacred journey, and letting go of what used to hurt us and what we used to know, and looking forward to, well, what have we got coming? So what is it that I have? You know, I love those games where you go into a kitchen and you have to make a meal out of what's in the fridge without knowing what's in the fridge. I love that sort of thing of just adapting to what's there. I know some people like to plan the list, go and buy the food, bring it back. It's got to be exactly what they said. They've got to have the oven perfectly. I'm not like that, thankfully. I think that's years and years of travelling has helped me to do that. But so it's about being adaptable. That's a great word, adaptable. But on a sacred journey, the one person you always need to deal with is yourself. So the one person who it's important that you look to and heal and adore and love and approve of and grow with is yourself. So transformation is a huge word to answer this question. How do I deal with what's coming my way? Well, you need to be on a transformational journey, which you're on anyway. I don't think you could call anybody's life a waste or they're not learning. They're always learning, but it's whether or not they're transforming with the information that they receive. So family is going to be really important, but I think it's going to really change. It takes a village to raise a child. That's what I'm being told. And we've definitely moved away from that. I think we're going to move back into working as a collective to raise the children, to look after the elderly. I definitely feel living in small boxes, you know, 2 people with 1 child, that hopefully is going to be a thing of the past. I don't think it's good for us. And it leads to loneliness and, all sorts of dementia and all sorts of awful things. So there is a purification with water. Can't show you this card. Emotional cleansing and rejuvenation. Yeah. So whenever we let go of emotional pain or we process, let's talk about this grief that we're going to feel for, all the things that we used to know and the things that we used to have and the way that we used to do it. But whenever you let go of what's the word I want? A package, let's say package of energy in the system. So whenever you process grief or anger or outrage or it's getting really annoying. Outrage or any big emotion, as you let go of what you're holding on to, there is a vacuum and you can bring in new energies and new, I'm hearing the words, so a new way of looking at life. And the word on the card is rejuvenation. So if I've got a new way of looking at life, I do feel more alive and more open to possibilities because I'm, rejuvenate is to do with youth and bringing back youthful zest for life. I'm feeling like there'll be, as we let go of the heavy emotions that we're carrying and move into, the future and the changes that are coming, and we're going to be adaptable and everything's going to change, but I'm going to have more zest for life as I head into the future. Yes. And then eternal love. Happiness, harmony, fulfillment. So I'm just hearing that there is only love, that we are love, that there is going to be a challenging time coming, but after that it's going to settle down. It's almost as if we've got a new system and we have to get used to it. And that will take however long, as long as it takes. And then happiness, harmony and fulfillment. I feel like a new harmonious way is coming that we can live out the rest of our lives. And not everybody's going to want to stay, that's true. Not everybody's going to want to change, and you know, those that don't want to change are going to find it harder or just more challenging to address the changes that are coming. So I feel like in one sentence the answer to that question is grieve. You are on a sacred journey. As you let go of the loss and the pain and what you've been carrying, we can move forward into a much more harmonious, fulfilling, loving lifestyle. That feels gorgeous. Okay, so it was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but I hope that's helpful for those people that are really struggling to, you know, face the future and know how to be. So I really hope that was helpful. If you would like me to do a personal reading for you, then please do go to my website, which is spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk. And most of the times I'm answering questions about love or health or wealth or happiness or illness, or you know, you can ask any questions you want. If you want to change your job, change your husband or wife, you want to know what your path is, what your soul purpose is. There's so many different reasons that people book angel readings, and I'd be happy to work with you on any of them. So once again, spiritualgrowthtools.co.uk. Hope this has been helpful. Thanks for watching.